is it possible for them to give it to an individual or to the inventor? How does it go? Even if the business plan, a well-made business plan has been presented.
Okay, so normally how it works is you do a business plan. Doing a business plan is, trust me, no job done. It's just a piece of paper. I can do anything. I can, talk about going to moon every day. So the business plan has to be realistic. As Vivek very rightly said, there has to be a track record of what you should demonstrate. So normally with an IT company, I think Vivek answered that question, but I can talk about companies in other spaces. You need to have, so if you are a manufacturing company or you're doing an invention, you have to have a prototype. You have to do a pilot, if I say. So that has to be so that pilot investment or that pilot project you have to do on your own. Number 2, you have to be passionate about that idea. Number 3, that idea should be scalable. That pilot should be capable of scaling up. You should have a market readily available for that. Again, while marketing, you should be aware of what challenges would you face, what would be your competitors. So you have to do your SWOT analysis. So how would you be different than 50 other players in the market, right? So you have to know all those things when you go and meet an investor. If you know all these dynamics very well, 9 or 10 times he's going to fund it. Because trust me, on the other side of the table, the investors are also looking for companies like you who are different. Otherwise they will not make money. If I have 100 rupees in my bank, unless I don't invest, I'm not going to make money, right? So I am also looking for people who have ideas which are scalable. So I have to, so that has to be the case. So market, you need to know what your market is, what your competition is doing, what different are you doing, how your idea is going to be scalable, what value you are going to create. So all those things are very, very critical. It's not about only plain numbers that you run.
Okay. Just a very functional question.
Sure.
How does one get an appointment from you?
Okay.
I'm understood.
No. Sure. There are various forums. I'll be very practical and I'll be honest. In answering your question. Then if you go to a VC website, you see a generic info@-vc.com, and everybody floods that email ID. Trust me, they get hundreds of them every day. I'll not say they don't get opened. They do. So you have to, all of those emails get opened. Trust me, there are guys, analysts are doing nothing but tracking those emails, right? They're making a deal pipeline, what we call that. So they're doing it, but they're not spending more than 10, 15, 20 minutes on a particular business model. So what you have to do is to strike that eye in that 10 or 15 minutes if you want to be visible.
Question, Paras. Does it make sense to hire grandfathers at this earlier stage when there's just an idea? Because typically intermediaries are hired when you go in for a later.
Ma'am, the mic is not on, I guess.
Right.
I guess the mic is not on.
So typically the intermediaries are hired at a later stage when a larger round of funding has to be raised, so that the intermediary gets a fraction of the funds that are raised. When it's that early stage, would you recommend an intermediary like Grant Thornton come in, or what is the value?
I'll be honest. If an intermediary comes into play, obviously, the reach is far. You reach the right guy. Because we know people on both sides. But it's not fair, because trust me, if somebody comes to we keep meeting people every day who have so much ideas, and you're passionate about it, but you keep meeting people who have 10 ideas in a day. Honestly speaking, go to an intermediary if you feel you have done base level of work. So base level of work means you've run your business for a year. You feel it's scalable. You feel it's going to reach the next level. It's worth it to go to an intermediary, because you're not an expert. You need that polishing of your model. You need polishing of your idea. You need polishing of your management team. You need polishing of scaling up. That's not gonna come on your own. So you need experts to help you present what investor is looking at.
That's what I said. How do I get an appointment?
How do you charge? Is it cash, Paras, or is it like you can take a stake of the company? Or how does it work?
No, that's okay. That's okay. To be honest, we don't mind doing it for free also. I'll be honest. We don't take all mandates that come to us, because again, there are a lot of internal guidelines that we have. But we don't, it's not that we don't help people. Me and Siddhartha are working on a deal where the guy met us year and a half back. And we mentored him for free for 6 months. I told him, please create a prototype. We cannot help you unless you have that prototype in place. Now he's done it after 1.5 years, and we are assisting him with, and I think there is an in-principle approval of VC also, not a VC, we've helped him with a Ministry of Finance funding, so that in-principle proposal is there. But again, as I said, we don't mind helping you put all blocks together. But this is, end of day, it's your model, you have to take ownership. So, we welcome, I'm serious, we welcome all of you. Sorry?
I saw you welcome me.
You're welcome?
The proof of concept is through. The prototypes, there are 5 of them ready. They're being tested, to some extent certified. And scalability is there, and the market is huge. Okay, and the competition is real because it's a generically new model.
Sure.
Now, what do I do after that? And the patent is pending. So that part is all done up. What do I do after that?
Okay, I'll just answer, just touch upon, and we can discuss later also. When you come and meet somebody who's an expert, you might be, thinking that what you're doing is the best in the world, right? But that is your part of the story.
Correct.
So you have to meet somebody who meets people like you day in and day out.
That's right.
I'll tell you 2 things. One, he knows what's happening in the marketplace. Number 2, he can put you in touch with somebody who might be, who might add a technology to your product to make it more scalable. So it's important that you speak to people. The organizations like TIE, where the people, go up there to mentor people like you. They're not going to steal your ideas and build models on their own, but they're going to help you put you in touch with right people. So if you go meet, interact with people more often, that's going to refine your business model. So if you do that level of groundwork before you approach a VC or a PE player, that's going to really help up, because then you would be prepared with what they're looking at.
Okay. Thanks.
In general, the more unflushed the idea is, the more you end up giving your equity away. So,
Yes.
so the more you have already developed it and you have proven it, the less you're going to give away. So that's the call that you have to make as to when you absolutely need the funds and you can't do without it, and hence there's a price to it and you're willing to pay, then I guess you are in the market. But if you can survive through other family, he talked about family, their angels, their friends, so long as you can keep developing it, the value of your idea is growing. So, and you're retaining all the ownership, that is a good spot to be in. Yeah, please.
See, my sense is, I was there when you presented the idea. My sense is what you are doing is related to clean tech. Now, you will need to do a little bit of homework in deciding which are the kind of VCs which funds clean tech. Because there's no point trying to run after all VCs. Every VC has its own mandate, they have a clarity what they want to do. So you need to first identify which are the kind of VCs you want to be associated with, who can add real value. Because you don't need just the money, you need that VC should be able to open other doors for you. So first you need to identify, and in today's world, identifying is not a difficult thing, and once you have identified, you have to start finding a ways to reach them. Networking is very important. Believe me, for us, the most important thing is the team. And so having an intermediary, if somebody else is coming and representing you, they would be lost, because he will not be as passionate as you are about the idea. So, I mean, my advice to you would be identify the kind of VCs who are funding clean tech, and believe me, there are enough who are doing that, and then kind of start networking to get there. And that will not, in today's world, it's again not very difficult to do that. And third thing which I think you should do is that identify other companies who are in a similar space as yours. Network with them, get a sense of how they went about, which are the VCs they went to, and try to get their help, because they are the ones, because they have gone through the process, they would be able to help you.
And I'll just add, and there are a lot of forums, there are a lot of industry bodies, a lot of seminars that keep happening about particular domain like clean tech. It's worth it to go there because you meet like-minded people who are looking at only clean tech, for example. So there you bump into people. It just gives you an open networking. So there are sessions with VC circles. Lots of them that keep organizing, specific domain-specific networking sessions. So it's worth it to go there and invest a couple of days because you meet people, who have done your kind of ideas, and the investors also on that side.
You so much numbers. You have to make exact projection, not exactly, but availability of 10 to 12% order. Now coming out seed capital is something just any idea generation. Right? To give a projections of 5 years at that point of time, exact numbers, which is expect. How to go about that number? Because you're developing a big plan and that's something.
I'll answer and I'll just say what Vivek said. Business plan is not the only thing that you look at. It's very, very market determined. It's uncertain. Whatever I'm projecting, I don't know whether I'm going to do it tomorrow or there would be so many changes also to my approach. If I do a 3-year business plan or a 5-year, I don't know how I'm going to run that model 6 months down the line. I might scrap it altogether. To be honest, once you do a prototype or you run it for a year, you would by yourself have an idea of what you're looking at in terms of the market size. So you would, with your own sense, think how much investment you're going to make in terms of investing into people, investing into technology if you're doing. So you have a bare sense. Don't do a business plan which is absurd. End of day, it's going to fall up. I'll give you a very rational example. People say my revenue is going to grow 100%. They don't increase, I'm just talking about technology companies, they don't increase investment into the manpower. So how your revenue is going to grow 100% if you don't do a backward integration into your manpower or training or, market or whatever. So your business plan has to talk. So your costs and revenues have to sync into each other. Number 2, do a realistic business plan because tomorrow, in today's environment, VCs are very smart. They're not going to fund into pure equity. They're going to take a convertible instrument which is going to increase. So if they invest into you and you don't perform, the equity stake is going to multiply. So they take a convertible instrument. So be intelligent because whatever you might for the sake of taking funding, you might develop a business plan which you don't believe in. And end of day when you don't deliver, if you shell out 10% to a VC on day 1, he's going to take 25% of it. Because the way they structure the instrument, they're smart people, right? They're not gonna trust on you entirely. So develop a realistic business plan, and trust me, there are the people available in the market to fund any ticket size. You don't.
I'll give you an answer here. That the person on the other side is not looking that you wrote 100.678 did you make it or not. What he's looking for is that have you thought through the reason why you arrived at that number? And is that reason okay? And so long as that reason is okay, then if it's in that ballpark and you met your target in that ballpark, it's alright. Because usually your plan will become your goal. In the sense that VC is going to say, if you meet this target, then your next stage of funds will happen. So you may stagger your funding based on what you have presented, so you have to meet it at some point. But he's not looking for such an exact, match. He's more looking for, have you done your homework? And are your ballparks roughly right?
Realistic.
Yeah, practically unrealistic. Right.
And you don't need to create a reliance on Infosys in 3 years, right? You just need to show, it's realistic in the sense that you work on.
I'm just talking about realistic business idea. You said the mom and pop shops are not, if you look at the mom and pop shops, not scalable. What Soundboard thought about, Soundboard thought about was turning the service into some different way and the scalable is Walmart. So even looking at that mom and pop shops is like...
No, I'm not saying that mom and pop shops are not scalable. If you look at a very classic example,
service,
if you look at
But that was his business model. So he was very clear that he is going to scale up. Scale up.
Look at the things like I just said, the way
No, for example, if somebody comes tomorrow and says, I want to have something which would be Chandigarh specific and will only be here,
That's
and
not
then
gonna-
for that you fund, please nobody will fund. But tomorrow you come back and says, I have something which is generic and which I'm sure will first span out whole India and then it has an option of going across the globe, that becomes scale. So the basic difference is that if by the nature of your business you are saying I have a catchment area to which I will be restricting yourself, then VCs will not be interested because there is a limit to
how much you can multiply. And retail is coming up in a big way anyways.
This question is for Vivek. Is there a reason that you fund and look for only Indian companies?
No, I don't think our mandate is restricted to India, but having said that, as I said, we are strategic investors, we are not a VC, we are not interested in taking money and waiting for 7 years. Indian online industry is something which we understand we can add huge value to. So as long as there is an India story to a business plan, we will be interested. But it doesn't have to be from India. In fact, we have a lot of things in the pipeline which are not from India, but they have India as a very big component.
But as an exit to make, one of the options the entrepreneur has is to have the company sold to Naukri, to Edge.
So as I said, if the company do extremely well and doesn't need next round of funding, we are perfectly very happy. And if they need the next round, we always insist on a offer. We want the first right of refusal. Because we have the capacity, we want to invest in the second round. So that always is there in our mind. We want to have a situation where we get the controlling stake, but with the permission and with the collaboration with the promoters. So that's our approach.
Any other question?
Guys, don't discount debt also. It's because equity also has a cost. Yeah, because equity also has a cost. A lot of us sitting here, we feel let's dilute 20%, 25% because that it has no cost. A lot of people think I'm not going to pay interest. I'm not going to. But trust me, in the long term, you're going to repent. So if you feel, you need money in the interim period, and then by investing X amount, your business is going to be self-sustainable. Don't ignore debt. Trust me, for startups, debt is difficult to be funded. But I don't want to name a company based in Chandigarh who took a LAP. LAP is a product loan against property. So they had a property. They took a LAP from ICICI and invested that money back into their business. So that business is now self-sustainable, and they had a term sheet with a VC close to 2 years back, but they chose not to take that money because of they were having conflicts with equity stakes. So now he's sitting happy. He's doing. He's done more than what he intended to, and it's purely. It's your call. And what I'm saying is, don't ignore debt as well. If you feel money is not required, and debt is easily available, don't ignore debt. You think your business can be self-sustainable with debt also.
You have a collateral.
Yes, go ahead.
You meet the conditions that are needed for having debt financing done. So it's worth comparing.
It's worth comparing, yeah, because equity also has a cost. If you see, I'll just use a jargon. It's IRR. So equity also has a cost. So if, don't ignore debt as an option. Is what I'll suggest.
One thing, we all talk about ideas. So it's really hard to find a unique idea, right? So the idea has to be unique, or it has to be in a way like we earn from it and make profits out of it. Because some things that we can do in a different way can change the whole market.
So the question
The question is like, the idea has to be unique or it should be able enough to generate profits.
See,
Even if it's some person is doing something and we are doing it in a different way, but it's better. It's adding more value.
so that's a good point. So the thing is, what you should be sure of the idea that you have, is it solving a problem better? The thing is that, can I go and for a person solve his problem, and is that problem big enough for him to invest in me and give me the money? Because fact of the matter is that unless that idea is not solving a problem, you will not make money out of it. I mean, the classic case is that you may have an idea that I'll make the Coca-Cola shimmering, but it's not going to generate money for you because nobody wants the the need for Coca-Cola is very different, simply because changing the color is not going to generate money for you.
Right.
So it's very important to be sure that the idea is solving a genuine problem, and that is something which needs to be checked out in the market. That the idea that I have, the problem that I'm trying to solve, is it big enough, and is that need for the solution is big enough or not? And that is at least one side of the story. Other is, if you have an idea which generates a market, it's a separate thing. But one thing is very important, is that the idea that you have should be